Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us. Please join us for the Mangalacharan prayers. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatataham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nitinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gaurvani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Paśyatya Deshatarine Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we'll be discussing mainly one important aspect, which is offering of love. And before we get started, today also happens to be the Disciplines Day of His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj, and he, has provided such a wonderful, instructions to all the devotees. Where we use many of his writings and many of his instructions from his books in our very life. And one of the common aspect that we see is he teaches us that we need to first surrender to the spiritual master, and by the mercy of spiritual master we get Krishna. And this actually was something that we learned very early back in India, means we were in schools. Guru Govind dono khade kaake lagu paye, balihari Guru apnu Govind diyo milaye. So your spiritual master as well as Lord Krishna, if both are standing in front of me, and you are in dilemma, whose feet should I touch first? Who should I offer my obeisances first? Right? Who should I respect first if both of them are there? Then the instructions of the Shastra is that we should first pay obeisances, we should first respect our teacher, our spiritual master. Because by the mercy of the teacher is that we are able to see Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is itself like, a very exalted personality as His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj had been. And so are his disciples, following on his footsteps. And one of the amazing things which is shared again and again is that in the last days, he was going through cancer situation, terminal cancer. And in that case, once there was Kirtan going on, and with Rajnath Maharaj, His Holiness Rajnath Maharaj was there as well, along with other devotees in Gita Nagari. And they were, hearing this Kirtan. And then His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj, he turned to Rajnath Maharaj and said, "It can't get any better." So amazing how much love he felt in the Kirtan, in chanting of the holy name, that he was sharing that love while he was in a terminal status, so like, in excruciating pain, basically. Yet in that particular moment, he was expressing that it can't get any better, because he was filled with the love of Godhead. He was constantly experiencing love, and he was offering his love at the lotus feet of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and also to Lord Krishna. So today, remembering him, we would like to cover some of the important aspects. And of course, we have been talking about this in Bhagavad Gita, discussions. And one of the important, shloka that appears, verse that appears, and people have been asking that why don't we cover some of the living examples and some of the exalted personalities from Chaitanya Charitamrita, from Krishna Leela and so forth. And you are welcome to please share, any devotee that you are reminded of when the very topic of offering of love comes from Krishna Leela, from Chaitanya Charitamrita, or from any of the Lord's pastimes. And, you can add that as comment as well. So please feel free to do that. So the focus today is Bhagavad Gita 9.26. Patraṁ, puṣpaṁ, phalaṁ, toyaṁ, yo me bhaktyā prayacchati tad ahaṁ bhakty-upahṛtam aśnāmi prayatātmanaḥ. So here, Lord Krishna is revealing in Bhagavad Gita 9.26 to Arjun that one can offer me patra, leaf, puṣpaṁ, flower, phalaṁ, a fruit, and toyaṁ, water. You may bhaktyā prayacchati. So bhaktyā is with devotion. Prayacchati is offering me, prayacchati is offering me with devotion. And tadam bhakty-upahṛtam. So when such an offering is being done in devotion, with love, I will accept it. Very simply, Lord Krishna is making it accessible, himself accessible to all of us through love. What is the value of our things? Srila Prabhupada said, what is the value of our things? Lord Krishna, he is the supreme proprietor of all material and spiritual universes. He owns everything. So when we try to offer something, even exalted things that you may have, it's like showing a lamp to the sun, right? So what is that value? Yet at the same time, what values, Lord accepts is when it has been offered with love. If your son comes and says, if you have a son or a daughter, they just come and say, Dad, happy birthday, here's a card for you. And then they just walk away. Do you feel the same feeling? And what if instead of just bringing a card, they come and they pay obeisances, touch your feet, they hug you and they say, oh dear Father, we are so thankful to you for all the things that you have provided, and here is a hug I want to just give you. So no material things, but just love. And what if they bring you even a very menial thing, very simple thing, like a flower, and they give it to you with a smile, so packaging is everything. It's very important. There is a very wonderful story of a man. He comes to his wife and he says, oh, today I got you something very important. And she says, what is it? And he says, it's in the bag. And then he leaves. And she opens the bag. There's a small packet. She opens the packet. There's a small, there's a small red paper, and that red paper is a big diamond. And she's like, okay, you got me a diamond. Now, she was trying to connect with him, and she sees this diamond, not much value. And then she said, why did you give me that diamond? He said, yeah, because today at work, I met my subordinate, and his wife was very happy when he offered her a diamond ring. And so, they were having serious conflict, and just by giving the diamond ring, he was able to win over her heart, because they were having so many difficulties in their lives. They were almost ready to separate. And since we have a similar situation, I thought that would satisfy you. So this is an imitation, right? He just tried to do something that he learned. So he just copied the steps. And so next day, of course, his wife, even though having given a big diamond, she divorced him. Why? Because he missed out the feeling. So he went back to his subordinate and said, your situation turned out to be very good, but when I did it, it didn't turn out to be very good. So, I don't know what's the feeling. So the subordinate, his employee asked him, what did he do? So he said, I gave her a big diamond. You gave 1 carat, I gave her 5 carat diamond. It still didn't work. So the employee said, how did you give it? And when he explained, that made the whole situation very clear. Because when the employee approached his wife, he had very nicely, listened to her. They have talked about it. He expressed with loving way, making just as a gift of love he gave. So his wife didn't look what was the size of diamond, but rather the packaging, that it has been given with lot of love and affection, with empathic, listening, active listening, and seeking a way to kind of make the connection again. So even if we have been a distance from Lord, we can make that connection again even today by offering with love. Whatever we offer with love. Now that doesn't mean that we can offer something amazing, but we offer, very menial, because Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, patraṁ puṣpaṁ phalaṁ toyaṁ. So again, we have to be very careful in making an offering, and that should reflect our love. So it's very interesting. And when you make an offering to Krishna, sometimes he doesn't see what you're offering, but he sees what you're holding back. So that has to be also. So again, when it comes for love, think of love. The closest reflection of love of Godhead is in the form of mother. How she loves her child. She bears the child in her womb for 9 months. Right? And when the baby kicks, which is like if somebody kicks us, we'll get upset. But she rejoices in that moment. She feels happy. Oh, baby is kicking and baby is moving. You see this, that's like a new birth for the mother, right? The 9 months she's carrying the baby, taking care of the baby. And then, even when baby is born, after that, she's caring for the baby, making sure baby is getting fed properly. Baby doesn't even know how to ask for things. The only way it knows is it cries, right? If it wants something, it cries. If it's in pain, it cries. Any kind of anxiety, it cries. And mother takes care of her baby very carefully. So that is the closest reflection. And we see Krishna reflecting his love in the similar manner. Yet at the same time, the baby may not know how mother is loving, right? It's going in the womb, it doesn't know how mother is loving, even it's kicking. It doesn't know how mother is loving when he's being fed, when he's hungry and crying out. When it's in anxiety, it doesn't know. But mother's love, we can observe. We have seen, we are all, born of our parents, and we have mothers and fathers. So again, from them, we see how they love. And mother may just hold the hand of a child for a little while, but she holds their heart for all her life. So that is also a very important aspect. So similarly, Krishna, he loves us so much that even when we become baharbhakti, we turn our back towards Krishna, he still comes as super soul in our heart, as Paramatma in our heart. And that is because of his love for us. So when we see him loving us so much, we of course feel amazed at times. And of course it becomes natural to make an offering of love. And that has been always said to be an important element in our devotional service. Whatever we do, Lord Krishna says, Yat karoshi yadaśnāsi, yat juhoshi tadāsi yat tapasyasi kante tat kurushvam patraṁ. Yat karoshi, whatever you do, yadaśnāsi, whatever you eat, yat juhoshi, whatever you offer or give away, tadāsi yat, and yat tapasyasi, so whatever austerities you perform. So all activities should be performed with love and devotion, which also tells us that we are, of course, making an offering to Krishna with love, but more important than that is that we create this environment of love. There is so much pain in current times, but at the same time, with love, we can win all. So with love, with devotion, because Lord Krishna, he says that he's the best well-wisher of all living entities. He's the benefactor of all living entities, and so are the devotees. So we have this responsibility in our life to spread love, the message of love. And it has nothing to do with the color of skin, it has nothing to do with the nationality, it has nothing to do even with the age, if you are older or younger. Whoever we interact with, we should reflect that care, the tender, loving care in our interactions. One another thing His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj used to say was that whenever you interact with someone, interact with such a devotion, with so much love and so much care, as if the success of your spiritual life depends on that interaction. And that is a mood we have to develop. Now, can you, if you are looking at this particular aspect, one of the amazing things we see is in the case of Sudama Brahman. So Sudama Brahman, he loved Krishna, but he never was approaching Krishna. He was always meditating on Krishna. He was a pure devotee of Krishna. And when he was hungry, his wife incited him to go to Krishna. Now, in Dwarka Leela, we see Sudama Brahman's story coming. But the same personality in Vrindavan Leela was one of the Brahmana's wife, the Dvija Brahmanas who were performing sacrifice. And Lord Krishna and Balaram had sent the cowherd boys first to the Brahmanas to ask for some food because they were hungry. All the cowherd boys were hungry. And we talked about it in the previous class. The cowherd boys, they were also very intelligent. They knew that Krishna and Balaram are hungry, but if they say, "Oh Lord Shiv, can we get something to quench your thirst and satisfy your hunger?" then they would have said no. So rather than saying that, they said, "Oh Lord, we are feeling very hungry, very thirsty. So what is the solution?" And Lord, His bhakta-vatsala, right? He keeps His devotees very near. They are very near to His heart. So at that time, Lord Krishna gave the instruction that go, these Brahmanas, they are performing yajnas, and it is appropriate for them to offer something even before yajna. So ask for them, beg for some, food. And so the boys went and the Brahmanas ignored them, literally as if they didn't even exist. And at that time, they came back and reported to Krishna Balaram. And then Krishna Balaram said that go to the wives of these twice-born Brahmanas. And so they went to the wives. And all these wives, as soon as they came to know that Krishna Balaram are here and they are hungry and all the cowherd boys, they collected this food and they came rushing without even worrying about their husbands, and many of their husbands tried to stop them, but they did not care. And the reason the Brahmanas had not responded earlier was also because they were afraid of Kansa, and they knew that Krishna is the 8th son of Vasudeva. And so if they try to respond to Krishna's request to give something as food, Kansa would torment them. And later when the Brahmanas' wives, they went and they looked at Shyam Sundarji and Lord Balaram, they, ecstasy, they brought all this food and Krishna was very satisfied. They didn't want to leave. So Sudama is the same personality in Vrindavan as one of those wives, because they already had love of Godhead, these wives. So Sudama already had love of Godhead. And it was being incited. So because his wife asked him, so he went. Now you would say, such a loving personality, he approached Krishna and Krishna worshipped him. Krishna treated him like an elder brother, embraced him and made him more opulent than Indra. But what was the reciprocation? Is there any reciprocation of his love later on in Lord Krishna's pastimes? So the same Sudama appeared as Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī in Caitanya Charitamrita. So when Lord Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, he appeared, this Sudama appeared as Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī. And Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī was one of the initial associates when Lord Chaitanya Mahāprabhu would do Nam Sankirtan. And he, as a Brahmacārī, was very mild nature, very lovingly. Whatever he would get, he would offer everything to the Lord. So his life was simply, he would chant, he would sing, he would, constantly be remembering Lord Pastimes. So Smarana Leela is another factor. Just by constantly remembering the name, form, activities, pastimes of Lord Krishna, one can easily make substantial progress on a regular basis. And of course, chanting of the holy name is glorified in that because it's a prayer and also devotional service. So Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, he would go from house to house asking for, begging for alms, bhikshan dehi. Please give me something in charity so I can offer it to the Lordship and sustain myself. And he was constantly engaged in devotional service, in Sankirtan, congregational chanting, the yajna for this age, the Kali age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So this Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, he would go 10 to 12 houses every day and he would ask. And what would people give him? They normally would give him what is like the least used item. Some chipped rice, that's what they would throw in his bag. And whatever came in his bag, he would cook it, he would offer it with love and devotion to the Lordships. And so when offering it to Krishna, Shri Radha Krishna, to the divine couple, then he would partake as remembrance. And this is how he was living, very simple life. He wasn't asking for much, he was just, engaging his time in loving devotional service. So the devotional service was fully, endowed with his love, his true love. And many times when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu he would be doing kirtan, Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī would be dancing in the back. And once he was just dancing, and at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving benedictions to all the devotees, whatever you want. And we heard about Mukunda, right? He was a musician, he was a kirtanier. And so when he asked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that when will he be able to go back home, back to Godhead, when will he be able to get out of this cycle of birth and death, this cycle of misery, Jan Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshano Darshanam, it's constant misery in this material world. At that time, Lord Krishna, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, not different from Krishna, he said that after a million years. Why? Because he was not happy that Mukunda was telling people who are demigod worshippers to continue demigod worshipper while engaged in kirtan. So when Mukunda was informed that after a million years he will be able to go back, he started dancing in love of Godhead. So that is the mood of a devotee. He started dancing. If somebody says, when will this thing happen? And you get a response, once in a blue moon. It is not never, once in a blue moon, so a devotee would be happy. So here Mukunda is dancing, and so at that time, seeing him in the ecstatic mood, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu calls him. So similarly, Śuklāmbara, he was, Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, he was dancing at this occasion, at one occasion when kirtan was going on and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was giving benedictions to the devotees. And he calls Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī. And Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī comes in, comes close. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he reaches to his bag, which was carrying whatever was collected, rice and the patted rice, the chipped rice, and he picked up an armful and he ate it. And everyone was surprised. It's dirty rice. It's the thing that people, the least important thing in their house they give it like that. And then he reached again and he picked up another handful and he ate that. And he's glorifying that this is the most nectarian rice. It is the most delicious of all the rices. He has never tasted such a nectarian food. And then he reached again and then picked up another handful and everyone is surprised. And Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, he is feeling like what is going on and he's trying to stop. At that same time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals to him that you had been begging in all your previous lives and I had been stealing from you, I had been taking from you. So you can imagine, means Lord is not taking things from someone who's begging for food, but rather he is relishing the love. So when in Vrindavan, gopis, the elderly gopis, they would keep this butter, right? And they would try to hide it. But actually they were praying, oh Krishna, you butter thief, you should come to our home, because this butter reflected the love in their heart. They were really hoping that Lord Krishna would come and steal away their heart. And so Krishna would go and he would break the butter pots and he would eat it and also distribute it among the cowherd boys, among his friends. And that is a true reflection as how a devotee wants Lord to steal their heart. And that's the only prayer we have, because what we can offer is not anything that's materially available, but what we can offer, the most important thing is our love. So whatever we do, whatever we offer, whatever we give away, everything should be done with love. Even our speaking, our interactions, our listening, our engaging in any kind of activity should be done with love. So that is the mood of a devotee. So Śuklāmbara Brahmacārī, he was surprised when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed that you were Sudama Brahman in your previous birth, in Dwarka Leela. And that I used to, I took that chipped rice from you. So it's not that Lord is hungry for chipped rice. It was pelted, it was dirty chipped rice. But in that Lord found nectar, which was the love of his devotee. The love his devotee has for the Lordship. And similarly, there was another personality, Kholāvecā Śrīdhara. So he was a trader of banana leaves, in Navadvip Dham. So Śrīdhara was mostly known as Kholāvecā. one who's a seller of banana leaves. Kholāvecā means a seller of banana leaves and banana flowers and so forth. And people didn't even know his name. He was such a simple, poverty-stricken, just very basic. All he had was a hut with many holes on top. So let's look at this personality. His house, he had a straw hut with many holes. So in rainy season, the water would pour in and would make him wet, and it was very difficult. He would not get enough food to sustain himself. All he was doing was he was selling the banana leaves, the banana flowers and so forth, the cups and all that you make with banana leaves. So he was selling all that stuff just to sustain himself. And he was keeping minimum profit. Now, as a merchant, have you ever seen a merchant keeping the minimum profit? Yes. It's very interesting that in India, the merchants, they used to have this big mustache. And so they would, wave their hand and say, I'm not making any profit from you. But behind the mustache, they would be smiling. So that's why they would have this mustache covering their lips, so that you don't see that they're smiling, because it's allowed, it's per the scriptures, that a merchant to make profit, they are allowed to lie, right? Because they're making profit. So that's how, they are lying on our face, but, by keeping that mustache, they're hiding their smile, that I'm not making any profit from you. But if they're smiling, you know that they're making profit on you. But Śrīdhara, Kholāvecā Śrīdhara was so humble. He would make minimal profit, just so that he can sustain. And when he would make all the profit, whatever was the earning, so you can imagine, first he invested his effort in getting the banana leaves, preparing it for selling, and then whatever was done, 50% of that he would use in the worshipping river Ganges. And then he would offer it to the lordship, and then he would take the remnants. So many times he didn't even have enough. Yet at the same time, he had one amazing quality. So this is also very interesting. With love, sometimes a devotee may be doing something, but it may be causing disturbance to others. So he loved to chant the holy name of Lordship with full heart. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So he was constantly chanting Lord's name, His glories, His pastime. So at night, sometimes he would be calling out Lord's name, calling out for the Lordships. And in that moment, all his neighbors, they would feel like, he's hungry. He hasn't eaten anything, so that's why he's calling out and disturbing us. And they would throw some vegetables, hitting him, saying that, go to sleep, stop chanting, eat something, go to sleep somehow. And this personality, when he would go out, and try to sell Nimai Pandit. So Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, when he was young, he was known as Nimai Pandit. Nimai was named because he was born under a neem tree. So in Sachi Mata's courtyard, there was a neem tree. Nimai comes from there. Pandit because he was a great scholar. And he actually defeated many great scholars who were going around, and he actually even ran a school, Vidyapith. So you can imagine, he was a great personality. Of course, Krishna, non-different. So at the same time, Pandit means one who is a great scholar. He was so that's how he was famous, Nimai Pandit. And he would go. Now Lord Krishna is Atmaram. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, non-different from Krishna, is Atmaram. He is self-satisfied. And all the great sages, all the exalted personalities, tapasvis, they are looking for Lord Krishna to, have his audience. And here, Nimai Pandit, non-different from Lord Krishna, he would go every day to this Kholāvecā Śrīdhara's, where he was selling. And he would say, he would have an bidding with Kholāvecā. He would say, no, what you are asking is too much. Kholāvecā would say, no, but this is the minimum. I'm hardly trying to make any profit. He said, no. Nimai Pandit would say, Lordship would say, no, I'll give you just 50%, half of what you're asking. So then Śrīdhara would say, but that would be a big loss for me. And then Nimai Pandit, what he would do? He would just pick up, the bananas, banana leaves, and he would just leave. He's like, I'm not even paying you. He would just take. And Śrīdhara, Kholāvecā Śrīdhara, he would wait every day. He was worshipping Lord Krishna, yet he was getting attracted to Nimai Pandit, who's not different from Lord Krishna, Caitanya Mahāprabhu. So every day when he would be selling stuff, he would wait for Caitanya Mahāprabhu to come. And Nimai Pandit would come, Caitanya Mahāprabhu, and he would again start this bidding. For 2 hours he would have bidding. While the yogis are waiting to have his mercy even for few minutes. But here, Nimai Pandit, he's having this conversation to reduce the price of an item which Śrīdhara has with minimal profit margins. And at the end, Nimai Pandit would take away. He's like, and then little Nimai, yes, little Nimai. He would take away the bananas, the banana leaves and so forth. And at times, Śrīdhara would even say, why don't you go and talk to another trader? Why don't you get it from somewhere else? Then little Nimai would say, no. I know a seller when I see one, so he knows that this is the best place to get bargain because he can even get it for free. But was he looking for the free item? No, he was actually looking for love of Kholāvecā Śrīdhara. Now, one of the very wonderful items that come is once he approaches Kholāvecā Śrīdhara and says that you actually, are very wealthy. Now, Kholāvecā Pandit, even in his clothes, he had many holes. He didn't have proper clothes. And it could not even afford a needle and thread. And so, to cover the clothes, he would just pick up the two ends of the hole and then tie it so that the clothes. And he says, yes, I see that your clothes have, at least 20 knots on it. Yet at the same time, I think you're cheating everyone. And he's like, no, I'm not cheating anyone. He's like, what do you do? He's like, I chant Lord Krishna's name, I worship river Ganges, and I chant Krishna's name. And at that little Nimai would say, you should then, offer me all your worship because it is because of me Ganges is worshipped. And when Śrīdhara would hear this, Kholāvecā Śrīdhara would hear this, he was like, oh, Krishna, as if like a big offense he has just heard against Lord Krishna. And, little Nimai would tell him that, why do you worship Lord Krishna? He doesn't really give you, see, all these other sellers, other traders, other merchants, they worship all these demigods and they become so rich and so opulent. Why do you worship Krishna? He doesn't really reciprocate with you. And Kholāvecā, he very nicely defends Krishna, that Krishna is bhāv-gahi janardana. So Krishna is only seeking our love, our devotion. He is not looking of, what kind of opulent offerings we make. We do the best to our abilities, of course. Yet at the same time he is expressing. So a beautiful loving exchange is going on. And then he would come back to, how much do you want me to pay for this? And then he would just pick it up and without paying he would leave. And Kholāvecā Śrīdhara every day, he didn't know why is he getting so attracted to little Nimai. Yet at the same time, he would look forward to seeing little Nimai every day. So would you, if you are a merchant, if you are running a business, would you like to have a customer come to you, argue for 2 hours, and then anyway take it away without giving you any remuneration, any money in exchange? Of course not. So, but yet at the same time, this was not a mercantile dealing. This was a love exchange, a loving exchange between a devotee and a lordship. So Kholāvecā was actually one of the Gopa boys in Krishna Leela, in Vrindavan Leela. And so once Caitanya Mahāprabhu, he showed his form as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as Shiva's Pandit's, house when everyone was worshipping. And at that time, Caitanya Mahāprabhu asked them to get Śrīdhara. So everyone was surprised. Who is this Śrīdhara you're asking about? Because nobody knew him. Everybody just called him Kholāvecā, a merchant of banana leaves. And so when Caitanya Mahāprabhu told them that go in the outskirts of Navadvip and then you will hear somebody calling, chanting the holy name. And so the person who is chanting, you get him. So they went to the outskirts, they heard somebody chanting the holy name very loudly, so they followed that voice and discovered Kholāvecā Śrīdhara. And then they brought him. And when he was brought, Lord Caitanya Mahāprabhu, he is asking him that, Kholāvecā, what do you want? I want to give you a benediction. Kholāvecā is asking nothing. I just, happy to see you. And then Caitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, I'll give you Ashtasiddhis. He says, no, don't give me Ashtasiddhis. With all 8 kind of mystic powers, there will be big disturbance for me. He says, I will give you Vaikuntha. He's like, don't give me Vaikuntha. I want to be in your service. So that is the mood of a devotee, not asking anything, but how to serve the Lordship. And this is a loving exchange, a loving dealing that was going on between his devotee and himself. So one of the important aspects that we are loving is that we are serving with love. Offering of love is the main offering. In all that we offer to the Lordship, it is the offering of love. Now look at a father who has many children, but one child is having a very nice loving exchange, very wonderful exchange with all his children, of course becomes very dear to the father, and also is lovingly exchanging things, and and the father would reciprocate accordingly. So it is a very important thing for us to understand that whatever we do, whatever we offer, whatever we are giving away, or whatever we are using in our life should be first offered with love to the Lordship. And you can make it very easy. Just have a picture of Lord Krishna, because he is not different from his pictures, he is not different from his deity form, he is not different from Śrīmad Bhagavatam. So here, Śrīmad Bhagavatam we have been studying. And here, Sudama, all he did was, he came to see Lord Krishna being, requested by his wife. So that is where Sudama Brahman takes a step forward. And he gets purified. Even he gets purified because Lord is the purest of all, and he purifies everyone. So if you think that you have anything that you want, then you owe it to yourself to lovingly offer whatever you do, whatever activity you perform, as an offering of love to Krishna. That is what you want to do. That is what you want to do, so that you get all kind of benedictions and all your wishes are satisfied. And of course, Lord is so amazing. So sometimes people say, but Lord Shiva is Ashutosh. We have had personal experience ourselves that Lord Shiva, when you pray him for something, he gives very quickly. And Lord Krishna is very hard to please. Well, actually, the difference is Lord Shiva is looking at the severity of your austerity, how severe is the austerity to please him. Lord Krishna is looking at your love. So when you offer something with love, Lord Krishna gives it to you and also purifies you. And if it doesn't give it to you, because it is for your benefit. Now, this is a very interesting scenario where Ravan, when he was on his Puṣpaṁ Viman and he was trying to climb, going with his Puṣpaṁ Viman, but Puṣpaṁ Viman could not cross Kailash Parvat, where Lord Shiva resides. So Ravan was surprised that Puṣpaṁ Viman is not able to say. His mood was that I will remove it from my path. I will just break it from the bottom and remove it. At that time, when he puts his hand under Kailash Parvat to move it, Lord Shiva and Parvati, they were having like sometimes husband wife, they have a misunderstanding, and sometimes they are arguing about a specific thing. So Parvati was saying, I'm going to my father's home. And sometimes in today's time, husbands become happy. When the wife is saying, I'm upset with you, I'm going to my father's home, then husbands become happy. But here, Lord Shiva, he's a pure Vaishnava. So he is feeling, disheartened that Parvati is leaving him and going to her father's home, Parvat, right, Himalaya, for her father. So as she is walking away, because Ravan is moving this Kailash Parvat with his hands, the earthquake seems to appear, right? The Parvati feels the and what happens when she feels any kind of anxiety? She runs back to Lord Shiva. She runs back to Lord Shiva and immediately embraces him. So Lord Shiva, he becomes happy. He says, who's this personality? So Ravan is brought in front of him. He says, ask for something. And Ravan asks for Pashupati Shastra. So again, that's his main weapon. Lord Shiva gives it to him. But when he gives it to me, he's also Trikalagya. He knows that this is the cause of the fall of Ravan. He would become proud. And in pride, he would do abominable things, and he will get curses that his head would be broken into 1,000 times if he touches a woman without her wish. And then, being incited by his sister, who glorifies the beauty of Ramchandra, he mistakes it to be the glory of, beauty of Sita Mata. He goes and abducts her, which causes his destruction. Yet at the same time, so Lord Shiva gave him a benediction. Yet at the same time, that causes destruction. Lord Krishna is more merciful, because if he gives you what you're asking for, then at the same time he cleanses your heart of any such attachment that could cause you to again come back and suffer through the cycle of birth and death. In addition to that, if he doesn't give you, then it is for our benefit. We should understand that that was to have also caused our fall down. So maybe your wish itself was not right, and that's why it has not been granted. And Lord Krishna loves to give what is most beneficial for us. And what is that? Devotional service. So there are some glories on the devotional service. So Rupa Goswami, he refers to the very, glories of devotional service. And when he is talking about the 64 qualities of Lord Krishna, number 40 is basically is being described that Lord Krishna is controlled by love. Let's look at various instances where he is controlled by love of his devotees. When Yashoda Mai ties him with the rope, right? That is, he becomes controlled by the love of his mother. And when she is trying to tie, it's always falling short by 2 fingers. We know what these 2 fingers stand for. One is our endeavor, and second is Lord's mercy. People can make all kind of endeavors, but unless Lord gives his mercy, he cannot be controlled. So he's showing that you love me in this manner so that I become controlled by you. So he gives his mercy. It was Yashoda Mai trying to tie him, but every time it was coming 2 fingers short. And very nice example is given that, Srila Prabhupada gives this example that every day a son is seeing his father lifting up weights. So the son has the same desire, and once he goes and tries to lift the weight. And the father sees from behind that his son is trying to lift the weight. So what the father does is he goes behind the son, puts his hands around, under the weights, and lifts it up. So now you would say, who really lifted it? Is it the father who lifted the weights, or is it the son who lifted the weight? Because when the son lifts it, he's like, yes, I have lifted it. Yet at the same time, he couldn't have lifted it if the father had not put the hands under, from behind. Yet at the same time, if the son had not made the attempt, the father would not have lifted it. So again, those are the 2 fingers where we have to make our endeavor. And Lord, he provides his mercy. His mercy is causeless. Yet at the same time, he is also controlled by love. So whatever endeavor we do to please the Lord, rather every action that we do in this, world, in our dealings, we should do it with love. We should do it with this affection that we are dovetailing everything in Lord Krishna's service. Even to Arjuna, Lord Krishna is saying that think of me and then fight. Think of me. So focus our mind, our concentration, our remembrance on Lord Krishna. And then carry out our prescribed duties. He did not say, Arjuna, you become a sannyasi, you become a devotee, you become this, you become that. No, he basically said, just carry out your prescribed duties, dovetailing everything to me. So again, and when we dovetail everything, it is very important that we have the right package. And this package should be made up of our love and devotion, with gratitude, with servitude, with, showing our affection that how much we love him because he loves us immensely. So we should be reflecting it in our actions. And actions are performed in 3 manners: mind, body and words. So we have to be always thinking of welfare for others. We should always be, and seeking to serve Lord with that mood of love. Always our mind, the thoughts should be in that. Body are our senses. So all our senses, all our working senses should be engaged in a manner so that we are able to serve Lord to the best of our abilities. And words is by glorifying Lord Krishna, by having loving exchanges with the devotees and constantly seeking to, understand him. So hearing is also, we are sometimes so much busy in speaking that we forget to hear. So let also others glorify Lord Krishna so we can hear about him. And the 9 processes of devotional service are there. Hearing, Shravanam is hearing. So Parikshit Maharaj, he attains perfection just by hearing process. Because he is hearing with love, he is hearing with devotion. So much devotion that he is constantly hearing non-stop for 7 days, 7 nights. And it doesn't feel any pang of hunger. Second is glorification, Kirtanam. Shukdev Goswami attains perfection just by singing the glories. And many times, at least twice, it's very nicely described in Srimad Bhagavatam, that he falls in ecstasy. He loses himself because he is amazed at the wonderful loving pastimes of Lord Krishna. Smaradam, Prahlad Maharaj is glorified by constantly remembering the Lord's, his name form activities, pastimes. Pada Sevanam, Goddess Lakshmi attains perfection just by serving the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, Lord Vishnu. Archanam is Prithu Maharaj, he attains perfection by worshipping Lord Krishna. Vandanam, prayers, Akrura attains perfection by praying to Lord Shri Krishna. And Mahamantra is a prayer, right? Dasyam, Lord Hanuman, he attains perfection by serving Lord Shri Krishna. So we talk about Ramayana, and also there are wonderful pastimes with Lord Hanuman. Sankhya, Arjuna attains perfection just by being friend to Lord Shri Krishna. And Atma Nivedanam, the topmost is Daityaraj Bali Maharaj, he attains perfection by surrendering everything to Lord Krishna. So sometimes people look at this Daityaraj Bali Maharaj pastime, which actually is Lord performing to glorify Bali Maharaj. His capability to be humble, to be tolerant and so magnanimous personality that he is fully devoted to Lord Shri Krishna. Even though Lord Krishna appears as Vaman Dev to give everything to his enemy, yet without caring that, without even thinking it for a moment, he actually ignores his spiritual master. So, how can this be happening in this manner? How wonderful it is that, he's Daityaraj, he's a descendant of Diti. That's what Daityas means. It doesn't mean Rakshas. Rakshas are man-eaters, cannibals. No, Daityaraj, a descendant of Diti. And Diti's elder sister Aditi, they are both married to Kashyapa Muni. And Aditi's son is Indra, and so she has 12 sons, and the 12th son is Upendra, who is also known as Vaman Dev. And in his beautiful Vaman Dev, young boy form, he is coming and he is glorifying by taking everything from Bali Maharaj. But then what does Bali Maharaj gain? Bali Maharaj gains by giving everything is even more glorious than what Indra receives. He receives Sutala planet. The whole planet has been constructed with amazing celestial palaces. It's more glorious than Indra Lok. So first of all, that is there. Second is Lord Vamadev himself. He is none other than Vishnu. He is none other than Krishna. He becomes the gatekeeper of Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj buys the Lord in exchange for Lakshmi. Now what is Lakshmi in front of Lord? Lord is the cause of Lakshmi. So here, Lord is giving himself to Daityaraj Bali Maharaj. And it's a very wonderful pastime that Daityaraj Bali Maharaj, he has Lord in his presence. So every day he gets to worship Lord Vaman Dev. And he has constant association of Lord Vaman Dev. And there in Vaikuntha, Lakshmi ji is wondering, where is Lord Vishnu? Where did he go? So she is in this mood of separation. And she is also a devotee of Lord Vishnu. So she wants to go and somehow recover her husband. So she finds out that actually in the form of Vaman Dev, he is in Sutala planet as a gatekeeper of Bali Maharaj. So she takes the form of a normal woman, giving up all her opulent dress code, simply wearing simple sari and all. And she goes asking for help from Bali Maharaj in Sutala planet. So this is Lakshmi Devi from Vaikuntha is going to Sutala planet, and she is saying that I am looking for my husband and please help me find my husband. And at that time Bali Maharaj is so magnanimous. Anybody asks for shelter, he provides shelter. He's like, sure, I will help you find. And then one day she says, actually I would like to tie Rakhi. So the first Rakhi was tied by goddess Lakshmi to Bali Maharaj. So Raksha Bandhan, that we celebrate, the love of our sister and our brother that we celebrate so wonderfully all around the world, is actually being started in this pastime where goddess Lakshmi, she ties this and she says that this is for your long life, this is to make sure that you are always glorious and so forth. She is giving blessings to Bali Maharaj as a sister. And then Bali Maharaj says, what would you like in return? And our brother always carries out what the sister wants, and that's exactly what she was looking for. And what does she want? She wants her husband back. And she says, this Vaman Dev, this is Vishnu, may I have him back? And so this is Lord's wonderful pastimes of his devotees, where the devotees are having this loving exchange. And she is able to bring Lord Vishnu back to serve him eternally. So that is a mood that she is able to win the Lord through her love, and also Bali Maharaj through her love. And Bali Maharaj had won Lord earlier by his affection, by his devotion, by his love. So that is the mood. And when Shukracharya, even though he tried to stop Bali Maharaj from giving everything away by putting his eye in the kamandalu, right, in that, so that it can, and Lord Vaman Dev pierces it with the straw, making him blind by, from one eye, Shukracharya. At the end, when, Lord appears and Trivikrama form, and he says, Shukracharya, what was the flaw? What is it that you want to share after this pastime that Bali Maharaj has been sent to Sutala? Shukracharya shares that, Lord, your glories are unlimited. Nobody can understand, because he understood. He actually became, he became overwhelmed by the magnanimity of Bali Maharaj, who, knowing that this Vaman Dev is none other than Vishnu, gave everything, but in return he won over Vishnu. So the love of his devotee is what Shukracharya is glorifying, as how Lord's devotees are so wonderful. And so again, we as devotees of Lord Krishna, we have to engage everything. So sometimes people ask me, so Prabhu, how do you differentiate who's a devotee, who's a non-devotee? My response has always been, everyone is a devotee of Lord Krishna. Some know it, some don't. That's the difference. It's very important for us to understand that every living entity has Lord in their heart as super soul. And it is not that Lord has split himself into many super souls. That's another misconception out here. So Srila Prabhupada gives this very nice example, that if you go around asking for people during the afternoon, where is sun? And when the sun is on your head, you ask the other person, where is sun? The person will say, it's above my head. So all the people in the surrounding would say, if there are 5,000 people you ask and all of them say, the sun is on my head, doesn't mean the sun has split itself into 5,000 suns. Sun is one, but everyone is saying on their head because he is present in everyone's heart as super soul. So again, Lord Krishna is present in everyone's heart as super soul. Another example Srila Prabhupada gives is that of sky and air. So I am breathing air, you are breathing air, yet at the same time we have air outside. So is my air different than your air? No, it is the same air. So similarly, Lord, who's much more subtle, thousands of times more subtle than air, is transcendental. So he can pervade everything just as one super soul. So I know my business, you know your business. But Lord Krishna knows everyone's business. And our business is only one business, business of love, business of devotion. And all we want to give Lord in trade is our love, is devotion. And whatever we have are something that we have been provided by Lord Krishna himself. So it should be dovetailed in his service. Now sometimes people say that means we should give up all our wealth, whatever we own. No, that is never being said. What has been said is, whatever we do with love, and we should do it suitably, making sure in conjunction as how we can provide an environment of love around us, right? It is very nicely sometimes even discussed that if you have a dog and you don't feed it, but just love it, the dog will start, barking at you after some time. Why? Because its basic needs have not been met. So that is our responsibility as parents, as brothers, sisters, as a community member, to make sure that everyone in our surrounding, everyone we are associating, their needs have been met. While those needs have been met with love, with devotion, with affection. They should not feel that it's being met in a bad mood. We have to give this, we have to part this. That should not be the mood. Rather, we should be having loving exchange. So for our sons, for our daughters, and for our wives, again, we should make sure that we have a loving exchange. And with our parents especially, because they have been so magnanimous to give us birth, right? And to give us this opportunity, the human form of life, by the mercy of Lordship, but through our parents. So they have been used as an instrument for us to get this wonderful benediction of human life. And there are 8.4 million species of them. 0.4 refers to the human. There are 400,000 varieties of human beings. Yet at the same time in Kali Age, Kala Shuddha Sambhava. So everyone is on the same level. So even in US Constitution it said all men are born equal. Yes, we are born equal. But we can, have this opportunity to grow further, to really grow to the level that we can get the love of Godhead. But that love of Godhead, when we are getting, it has to be in exchange of our love to Godhead. So we want to give our devotion. We want to humbly serve with gratitude, with tolerance, with patience, with determination, so that we can win over the Lordship. So that is the message today. And so when we chant the holy name, we chant the holy name as our loving offering, making every word as a jasmine flower at his lotus feet. Just by raising our hand and chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So this is where we would like to end today's session. Thank you very much for joining us. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Holiness Bhakti Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhagavad ki jai. Anant Koti Vaishnava Vind ki jai. Nitai Go Premanande. Hari Hari Bol. Hare Krishna.